Hey, it's Mike, brew-news.com. So, totally different view tonight. Tonight, I wanted to try to play around with doing a screen capture on my computer and demonstrate how I do a little bit of a software sort of workaround in BeerSmith to get away from Brewhouse efficiency and just rely solely on mash efficiency. So, let's switch over. You don't have to look at this weird view, and we'll switch over to looking right at BeerSmith on my computer. Okay, guys, here we are. We're in my BeerSmith 2 software. Let's open up a recipe. So I'm going to open up this best bidder. This is actually the best bidder I brewed for the community brew, the Brewhouse community brew. I want to talk about this number here, Brewhouse efficiency in BeerSmith, versus this grayed out number, estimated mash efficiency. So when you're developing a recipe, whether you do it on paper or if you're using software, you need to know what your mash efficiency is in order to correlate the amount of grain that you have with a calculated starting gravity. Otherwise, you really don't know how much grain you need to achieve a certain number, and then everything falls suit from there. The size of the beer, the strength of the beer follows suit with how big the original gravity is. So I'm not going to attempt to show you in depth right now how BeerSmith works. If you want me to do that type of video, we can definitely work one of these types of videos in, and I'll walk you through how I start a recipe in BeerSmith. We can do that. But I think this is something that some people who do use BeerSmith that get really frustrated with. Why do the numbers in reality not match up with the numbers in my software? I think that this is one of the biggest hanging points, and I had a hard time with this for a very long time. But I recently discovered a way to just simply override Brewhouse efficiency, and I want to show you that tonight. So, as you can see, I can't change mash efficiency, but I can change Brewhouse efficiency. And what I'd rather be able to do is I'd rather be able to alter this. So if I can get this number to actually mirror this, then it means that no matter what I do here, I can change, whatever I do in the recipe, I can change that here and be directly affecting the mash efficiency. So let me show you what I mean. If we go down here to equipment and we open up this equipment profile, this part here, so Brewhouse efficiency is basically mash efficiency then taken to the next step of where else are you losing sugar? You're losing sugar to things like trub in the kettle. You might be losing volume to, say, a chiller. You might be losing volume in your fermenter. Like I tend to fill my fermenters to, say, 5¼ gallons. That's how this profile is set up. And when I rack out of the fermenter into a keg, I'm going to leave a little bit of that behind. So my total packaging, it's called bottling volume here, my total packaging volume is, how much I put in the batch versus what I'm losing in the fermenter. So all these losses then have to come out of your total mash efficiency in order to account for that loss of sugar. So BeerSmith really wants to be all things for all brewers, regardless if you're a home brewer or a pro brewer. And they drive it based on Brewhouse efficiency. So you have to go through one of these equipment profiles. You can use an equipment wizard. It helps out a little bit. But you have to go through, you actually have to measure all these numbers, and you have to measure them fairly accurately. But what I discovered is that if I change all these numbers to reflect 0 losses, then in theory, that means that I don't expect to lose any more sugar or any more wort post the mash, so post boil. And that should then in the software make a situation where my brewhouse efficiency is actually the same thing as my brewhouse efficiency. So here's that equipment profile: batch stand, brew stand, batch sparge. If I change this equipment profile to this other one I've made, which has got 0 losses in it, now you can see that my brewhouse efficiency equals my mash efficiency. Let's just open up the equipment profile so you can see what I'm talking about here. So if we look at this, you can see that now I've got this should be a 0 here, so let's change that to 0. Whoops. And So no losses, no losses, no loss, no top up water. I don't even know why you'd use that. Um, so no fermenter loss whatsoever. So my batch volume is going to be the same as my bottling volume. Um, so if we say okay to that, and then we come back to the recipe, you can see now that my brewhouse efficiency equals my mass efficiency. And if I brew this batch a couple times and realize that I'm getting better efficiency, like if I'm getting 80% efficiency, if I do that, you can see that my gravity's gone up a little bit. Let's just do that again, 75%, right? So at 75%, I'm at 1046. If my brewhouse efficiency goes up to 80%, it goes up a little bit. Um, these numbers this number should automatically populate, but for some reason it's not doing that. So if I just save the recipe, if I reopen it, let's just double check here. There we go. See, so it did track, and now it says 80%. So every time you change this, then, and then my gravity goes up, and when it should do it automatically. For some reason, it's not doing it tonight. But if I reopen that, see, now it's tracking. So it tracks exactly. So what I've done is I've cut out all of this extra stuff in the equipment profile that I can just be building recipes based on what I know my system's mash efficiency is. Now, I know some people might say, well, what's the point of having all this software at your fingertips if you're not going to make use of the equipment profile and actually calculate down to the last drop of beer coming out of the fermenter? I mean, it's just not the way I brew. It's just not the way I like to brew. And I've watched videos of people who really struggle with these two numbers and getting your equipment profile set up exactly right. In fact, even in that other equipment profile, even in here, I don't actually have it totally right. You still have to play with this number a little bit to get this number right. I've just never been happy with that. It's kind of frustrating with BeerSmith. I still love BeerSmith for organizing recipes. You can see I've got my recipes organized by style. Um, and the like. I even have recipes that I have copied from magazines that I've written down. Some of the Brewing Network recipes, you can actually pull these down off the BeerSmith website if you're into stuff like that. Um, I keep a brew log. These are recipes I've actually brewed. So I like the organization level. I've just never been happy with this BeerSmith 2 level where it's all driven by um, brewhouse efficiency. So I hope that this sort of gives you some sort of appreciation for a way that if you're like me and you just want to deal with your recipes in a mash efficiency mode, that if you cut your losses to 0, you can make your brewhouse efficiency equal your mash efficiency, and now you have complete control over um, changing the outcome by just dialing it up here and not worrying about also all these brewhouse efficiency losses. That's just always been really frustrating to me. Leave a comment below and tell me that I'm crazy, or tell me that I shouldn't worry about it so much. I should just make it work. I just sort of got tired of playing with the numbers and trying to get the software to match up what was happening in reality. When really, you should just. I'm more of a feel brewer. I just sort of get it, and I like to just do it this way. So I hope that sort of helps. I know it's a little bit back and forth and confusing. Again, this wasn't intended to be a, hey, this is how BeerSmith works video. I just wanted to address this one little part of BeerSmith. If you want me to do a BeerSmith video, like I said, we can do those, do a couple more of those. This really was more of a me trying to have fun with doing a video with a screenshot. So thanks for watching, and please leave a comment, like, subscribe to the channel. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know. So thanks for watching. Cheers.